Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Sign Your Own Permission Slip podcast. I'm your host, Anna Fishman. We have a very special guest today. Her name is Neepa Sikdar, and I'm really excited to talk to her because today we're talking fashion. We're talking give yourself permission to dress fun, fashionable, comfortable, especially when you're traveling. Neepa, welcome.
Hi, Anna. Thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I know when I talk to my clients, my lady clients who join our small group trips, a lot of times they are very nervous and anxious. What do I pack? What do I bring? Is there a dress code? Do I need shoes with heels? Do I need a
Yeah.
dress? There's always all these, and men never ask this. Like no matter what, if they're going on whatever trips, honeymoon or like a business, like there's never a conversation about clothes. But for women, it's very important because we're women. We like to know what we're going to look like and we like to look great. And I know when I was just starting out to lead my tours, I was nervous about this. And I
Yeah.
had you come and help me feel comfortable. So before we go into the nitty-gritty of how people can actually feel confident while they're traveling, why don't we step a little bit back and why don't you tell us who Neepa is and why is this the topic we're talking about?
Yeah, so I'm Neepa Sikdar, and my company is called Accessible Style, and I have 20 years of fashion experience. I started out in the retail industry, working in merchandising. So I worked in brands such as J. Crew and Donna Karan and Liz Claiborne, and my job was to price the merchandise and figuring out how much we would sell it for, when to promote it, what to carry. I worked with models a lot. I did a lot of fitting sessions and really learned how things are constructed, how a piece of clothing is constructed, as well as how things should fit. And so I had the amazing opportunity to work with some incredible designers like Jenna Lyons, and I've worked with Tim Gunn and Isaac Mizrahi. And so from there, like most entrepreneurs, I transitioned to having my own business. And so I launched Accessible Style because I wanted women to have practical style solutions so that they can create an authentic style that raises their visibility, their income, and their self-worth. A lot of the work that I do comes from the inside. It's not just about clothing, it's about how the clothes make you feel. And I want, like, what we're going to talk about today is I want you to give yourself permission to spend money on yourself when it comes to your clothing. And so we can go on this fabulous trip. We plan all the details of the trip, invest all the money, and then we hate the photos of ourselves, right, from that trip. And those are our memories. And it's because we didn't take the time to think about what we're going to wear, or we waited to the end, to last minute. So, yeah, so I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
You're so right. And a lot of times, like we love a piece of clothing and we're like, oh, like I think I look good in it. And you may, but it looks different on pictures. Like
Yes.
I just came back from a trip to Venice and I decided to treat myself to a photo shoot because I love Venice and I'm like, I really want to have nice pictures in Venice.
Yeah.
I'm going to use them on my website, I'm going to use them on my social. And I spent like good 2 hours going through all of my clothes. I knew I'm gonna wear jeans because I'm gonna have like mostly like waist up pictures.
Yeah.
But like I don't didn't really care for the bottom. But I could not figure out like what to wear. I was like, oh, I like this sweater. I put it on, I feel comfortable. I take a picture of myself, I look at it, I'm like, like I blend with my face, blend like it was all these things that like on pictures will look completely different. And
Yes.
I was so grateful that I worked with you a couple of years ago before my very first trip and you gave me that confidence and the permission to like try different colors and mix different things. I'm like, oh, I didn't know I can wear my raincoat with my sandals. You're like, yeah, you can do that. Or like,
Yeah. Yeah.
or like, wear this fuchsia like two-piece thing with the yellow like over like,
Yeah.
little cardigan. And I was like, this looks really good. So like
Yeah.
we get stuck in our own things and we just like
Yes.
I have to wear it like the gray and the blue. So tell
Yeah.
us more about like all that permission. Like what do we need to let ourselves do when we're like packing that suitcase?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of when you're working with your style, there's a lot of mindset shifts that you really need to make before you can really unlock what your wardrobe should be or how you should dress. And I think the first thing is to give yourself permission to spend money on yourself, right? because we are spending all of our money on our children, our
Yeah.
home, our gifts for others, right? And so we are not spending the money on ourselves because that makes us feel guilty, right? And I'm sure you see this with your own business,
Yeah.
right? Giving yourself permission, like, I deserve to have nice things,
Yeah.
right? And so when, like, I mean, if you have a teenage daughter like I have, right, she's going to ask you for stuff. And you're not going to think twice of giving her permission to, like, whatever the latest thing from Lululemon is, right? You're just going to go out and hand over the $98 or whatever. But when it comes to yourself, you're like, oh, I'll find it for sale,
Yeah.
right? And so that's like the number two is you're not for sale,
Yeah.
right? So it's these things that we need to really think about when we're first just contemplating, like, how do I make these shifts in my clothing? And also you have to let go of some guilt. We have guilt when we purchase the wrong things
Yeah.
because we made a mistake, right? And we feel bad. And the thing is, we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we're bad at anything. It's just, it's learning how to shop for yourself, learning these tools to how to dress better. That takes practice. And so if you sit there and, like, we all have items in our wardrobe with tags on them that we have not worn because we probably bought it on sale and we're like, that sounded like a really good idea until it came home. And then we're like, why did we buy this? Right. And
Yeah.
so then you feel this guilt and you're so upset with yourself and then you don't do anything else and it just becomes this cycle. And instead, if you're like, okay, I made a mistake, let it go. But I trust myself to, like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Because just like anything, your style is just something that you have to work on to, get it to a place that you're happy. And, like, I, having all this experience, still have outfits where I'm like, why did I, what? Like, I still get that.
That
And
buys
so,
remorse.
yeah. And so, like, these big things in your mind, we have to sort of let go. And, like, I think the other thing that was really interesting you said earlier is, like, I didn't know I could do this with that. Right. And so much of the reason I started this business is because there's so much misinformation out there and so many rules that, like, society has told us over the years that, you're not dressing for anyone but yourself and just being totally, like, okay with, well, this is my current life. My life may not, I don't go to a corporate job where I need to be, a certain dress every single day. Like, it has to work for your life. It can't
Yeah.
just be this whole, oh, it's for someone else. So,
The rules, oh my God, like we don't have a written like piece of
yeah,
paper with the rules, but they're all in our head.
they're in
This
our head.
reminded me the very first time I bought myself a business class ticket, I had this imposter syndrome eating at me. I was
Okay.
so to preface this, I was invited to go to Italy on a very prestigious conference. I was one of the 5 agents in the United States who went to the
Wow.
conference.
Okay.
I wasn't worried about the conference. I was worried, what the hell am I gonna wear on this business class flight to
Yes.
Milan? I was
Yes.
like, I got a really good deal on to upgrade my ticket. It was like I went, I bought an economy, and then when I was checking in, they gave me a really cheap upgrade. I was like, I'm gonna do this. Like I've never
Yeah.
flown
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep the night before. I was so nervous. I was like, what do I wear? Do I dress professional? I cannot like show up in my sweats. Who cares? I
Yeah.
earned it. Like I bought this. I didn't steal the ticket. I bought
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
my hard-earned money that I earned in my business. It doesn't matter what I look like. I was like, but what if people are gonna think like I'm in the wrong seat? Who like who
Wow.
like I had all these things because
Yeah.
we doubt ourselves because like what do you mean I'm gonna spend this extra
Yeah.
money on myself to fly more comfortably. Maybe I spend this money on my like I don't know, give my kids another like tennis lesson or whatever that
Yeah.
makes me.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about you can spend money on yourself because that
Yes.
goes towards travel as well. I
Yeah.
talk to women and men, but it's mostly women who like don't give themselves permission to do this. They're like, oh yeah, I don't think I can spend $10,000 on a trip for myself. I'll spend $10,000 and take like my kids to Disney or whatever for a
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
It's not like they don't have the money, but they feel guilty to spend it on
Yeah.
themselves. You're not on
Yeah.
sale. You deserve to stay in a good hotel, sleep on a
Yes.
comfortable bed, dry yourself with a super duper soft towel, have good
Yeah.
coffee at breakfast. It's
Yes, yes.
like you don't
And
need
that and getting that
clothing.
seat on the flight that you upgraded yourself. You deserve, because doesn't the air feel different in that section of the plane?
Now like I mastered the points game. So like I whenever I can, I get my flights on points on
Yeah,
business. Like, but I still have that imposter syndrome. Like because now
yeah,
like I'm not worried about what I'm wearing. I'll show up in my favorite sweats and a t-shirt that says usually something snarky on it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like I love seeing people like pass by me and they're like, is she in the wrong seat? And I'm like, oh no, I'm not. But like it takes that mental like giving myself
Yeah,
permission, like getting there. And
yeah,
we as women, like you said, you'll give the money to your daughter to buy Lululemon stuff that like she
yeah,
can buy probably at TJ Maxx for $20 as long as it doesn't
yeah,
have
yeah,
Lululemon on it.
yeah,
No, we don't give ourselves permission to do any of that.
yeah. And it takes time to really recognize that you've been doing that.
Yeah, it does. It does. I love that you told me the other day when we were hanging out, you said that we were talking about Italy and you said, like my very first luxury bag you
Yeah.
purchased on a trip to tell us that story.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I was graduated from college and I rewarded myself with a trip to Italy.
Ah,
I had just always wanted to go there, and I saved up, because I worked, interned, whatever, during college,
yeah.
like all 4 years I worked, and I saved up my money to go on this trip to Italy. It was like 10 days. I went with this like tour group, and I just was like so happy to be there. And then I was in Florence and I was like, I went to a Prada store and I bought my first luxury bag. I never owned one. I never, thought to own one. I was just like, I just really wanted it. And I remember going into that store and feeling so nervous, but then I saw it and I was just so happy. And it was just this experience of like, wow, I got my first bag in Prada, like in Italy, like, at a Prada store. And it's just like the thrill and the rush of making that decision as a 22-year-old girl who like, yeah, didn't even have a job to come home to. So it was like, my dad's like, is this the most practical decision you made? But
That's
it wasn't about being practical, right? And so now bags have become my reward for accomplishing things. And so even if my husband tries to get me back, I'm like, no, I don't want you to get, I want to get it.
yeah.
Right. It's like my thing, I think that's another thing. Like we don't treat ourselves, and this is such an extravagant way.
Yeah.
And again, more guilt, right? And so yeah, it was like literally, I mean, one of the best experiences ever on
Yeah.
a trip was that.
Well, I relate with my first business class flight experience to your
Yeah.
that was my
Yeah.
bad. Like
Yeah.
I was nervous, you were nervous, like I was
Yeah.
supposed to be here, I was supposed to be spending this money, like
Yeah. And I was
like
like, oh, the people in the store are not going to be nice to me. And they were
yeah,
so nice to me. Right? Like they're going to think I don't belong here.
yeah,
And they were so amazing. And I remember my friend came with me who was on the trip for support because I thought I was gonna like chicken out.
yeah,
But yeah, it is, and then it just becomes this amazing story that you
yeah,
get to share later, about having that experience. And I remember and then I did again, like I bought like a Gucci wallet when I got this new job. And it was just like these little things throughout my career that kind of have been milestones,
yeah.
have been these bags. And it just it's just a really special feeling to know that I've done this.
100%. And I can only speculate that buying that bag in Florence was so much more special than buying it at like, I don't know, Short Hills Mall.
Yeah, exactly. It was, yeah. Yeah. Well, also because I was like running late to catch our bus. So here I was running. What was that bridge? Is it Ponte Vecchio? Yeah, I think it was. And I was just like running towards the bus
Yeah,
to get back on our tour bus with this big Prada bag in my
yeah,
like carrying it, and I'm just like booking it. And yeah, and that's the other part I remember. I was like, I was running late because we were at the store and the bus was about to leave.
yeah. But I'm sure every time you wore that bag, it made you feel better, it made you feel more comfortable, confident. Like it
Yeah.
gave you like that rush of endorphins all over again.
Yeah, and I still have that bag. And the funny thing is they reissued the bag. It's one of the most popular bags right now in
Wow.
product. And it was just like my daughter was using it. She's like, oh, because it's like a small little,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, I just was like, wow, because bags retained their value actually. So it's
Yeah.
cool to have that like experience and then pick this bag that's so popular now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember how confident and better, like in my skin, I felt after our session when you helped me pick out my outfits. I was like, Deepa, I'm going on this first trip. I'm taking a group of women. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be that. Like, I don't know, because I had all my like summer stuff, but it was more like resorty type of
Yeah,
when I go with my kids to the beach.
yeah,
I was taking a group to Puglia and it was gonna be like in the 80s. And I'm like, I need to look like semi-professional and not
yeah.
in ripped jeans, but at the same time comfortable. So I was really freaking out. And you really like you I love like you came in, you went through my classes, you're like, throw this out to try this.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I didn't have to go shopping. Like that's not the thing. Like it's
No,
not like you have to go and like redo your whole wardrobe. No, you were
no.
able to like put some pieces for me together that I would never think would go together. And
Yeah.
I actually like liked it and I still wear it and I have a million pictures from the trip where like I look at it and I smile because I feel good about that. Can you
Yes.
give us any tips, like anything? We talked a lot about rules, but anything along the vein of like you're packing for a trip, are there any rules that can you can bring a few things, but they will make you feel good and you take those pictures and you actually like enjoy looking at the pictures, not like, oh God, not again. Like
Yeah, there's actually a bunch. The first thing is don't wait till the last minute to think about your wardrobe. Because I think that's what happens a lot of times is like we wait till last minute, then we go out and shop and we buy things that we're like we shouldn't have bought. Like the first thing you do is really shop your own closet. Like, the service that you did is exactly what people aren't doing enough of. Because you can't solve this problem of nothing to wear by buying more things that you probably
not
won't
gonna wear.
wear, right? And so another thing that I love to do when I travel is I research the country that I'm going to.
Mm,
And I'm like, what are they wearing? So you can do this by going on Instagram and putting in the country name and then street style.
mm,
And you will get all these images, and you can do this on Google too, and you'll get all these images of what people are wearing there. And it's like you can look at that and think, maybe I'll pull something that I own from that. Like if you're going to India, you're going to wear a lot of color, right? So it's like you're permission to like wear color. You're gonna like it just like I feel like when I'm somewhere and I take the time to look at what they're wearing, it's a deeper connection in my trip to that country and my experience. It's almost like I get to feel like a local, even though I'm not a local, right? And it makes my experience of travel there just so much more special.
yeah.
And then another thing I recommend is stick to a color palette. Really simple, and people sort of just forget, but like 3 to 4 colors. That's it. And everything sort of can go back to those 3 or 4 colors so that you're not thinking so hard about, okay, what is it that I wear? And all your outfits that you do make your outfits at a time, pull out that itinerary and think about, okay, I have lunches, dinners, touring days. Like this day, I'm going to be out all day touring.
Yeah.
Right? I got to have my sneakers for that, right? And so really look at that list, make the outfits, put them in those travel pack things
Mhm.
and put it all together so that when you're there, you're just pulling it out.
Yeah.
You're not worrying about, oh, should I wear this with this? Because you figure that out at home, which is what we did. We made those
Yeah.
outfits, right? And so then
And we
you
took
want,
pictures. That was
and we
really
took pictures, yes, and
I was
take
like
pictures.
day one, picture one, to day
Yeah,
two, picture two.
yeah. And take the picture, or put it in the pack. Like that way you're taking out so much stress of when you're on that trip. Because when you're on the trip, you're just supposed to enjoy yourself, do the things, you worked hard to get on this trip, you planned it, now it's about enjoying and being in that moment. And you don't want to stop to figure out, oh, should I wear this?
Yeah.
That's just unnecessary time to that you don't need to spend. And then the final tip I will say is really important is creating a capsule. People talk about that a lot when it comes to the wardrobe, but really a capsule is a combination of having some of those basics in your wardrobe, of, if you're going somewhere warm weather, you're going to want a t-shirt, you're going to want a bathing suit, cover up, whatever. But then also having those things that make you smile, like the shoes or the fun hat or the scarf or whatever that is, that there's a couple of those pieces sprinkled in with the basics. And then it's not like you're elevating the outfit with the fun accessory. And then you're not thinking of, oh, this is going to be so challenging because your basics really need to do double duty. And so it's like let's say you're wearing a shirt dress. Okay, well, how many ways can I wear that on the trip? So that I'm getting the most out of it. The shirt dress can be opened up, right? And it can become like its own jacket. Right? And it doesn't have to just be closed up, and buttoned up and with a belt. Like you can expand it. I've used shirt dresses for cover-ups for bathing
Yeah.
suits, right? So just like thinking about, okay, how can I make these basics really used over and over? And then I can just add these accessories and that makes it fun. Like you had the bright colors on the trip, or you had a lot of great costume jewelry. That was the fun part of your outfit.
Yeah. One thing I'm gonna say about custom jewelry,
Yeah.
the practical part of it, I didn't realize. It's nice to like when I would go out to dinner, that's perfect.
Yeah.
But the whole day I had a like messenger bag. So when I had a
Yeah.
messenger bag, then I had my phone hanging over like this, like a messenger
Yeah.
bag. And then I had a big necklace. I was like, oh, I have not thought this properly. So now
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when I do this, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna have a messenger bag, like I'm not gonna bring like a big necklace. I'll bring a few chunky ones. I really like chunky necklaces. I'll bring a few of them and I'll wear them at dinners, but I'm not gonna wear them throughout the day because it just like messes with me. And that's another thing, like being very mindful of the practicality of what you're bringing. Like I stopped bringing 12 different pairs of shoes. I just
Yeah.
buy like I buy two pairs of sneakers. One is a fun pair of sneakers and one is like more practical, like a backup. And I remember I had my sneakers that we chose, had them like white with the like animal print on the sides. They went with everything, even like
Yeah.
with the dresses. Like I don't need heels, especially if you go into Europe. Forget about heels. Yes, locals wear heels because they're used to it. We're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
used to it, and you're
Yeah.
walking all day long. So like think
Yeah.
about the shoes, think about like the purse. Like I bought before my last trip, I bought a bag. I thought I'm gonna wear it on the trip. I wore it for like a week at home before.
Mm.
It's just like a regular Kipling, like travel bag, but I realized it had like tiny pockets in the front and they were driving me nuts. They were like my phone wasn't fitting in. So I went out
Yeah.
and got another bag that had a bigger pocket. So like I solved that problem of like being stressed out and uncomfortable before I went on the trip. So then the new
Yeah.
bag had a bigger pocket. I could fit my phone, my wallet, everything worked. Like sometimes you just need to do like a little bit of extra and
Yeah.
practice before you like bring that thing on the trip.
Yeah, no, that's really important. And you were strategic about it. The fact that you like spent the time to actually wear it, right? And see like, is this gonna work? Yeah, because a lot of times people do that. They buy something new just for that trip,
Yeah.
right? And then they haven't really thought, well, is this gonna be really that practical for me to
Right.
have this on the trip? And yeah, and shoes, like I don't really wear heels on trips, but I will do like some kind of platform shoe
Yeah.
because it'll be like a wedge thicker heel
Yeah.
or some sort of platform because then it's like I get that dressy look without having to wear something that's uncomfortable. And like I'll bring like one pair of heels, right? And I'll
Yeah.
have like two pairs of sneakers. And then of course there's depending on the trip, like if it's somewhere warm, there'll be a pair of sandals. Like,
Yeah.
and I just sort of like I also realize like a lot of times my wardrobe tends to be very similar on trips.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's okay because these are things that like, or even if you like, we regularly will go to Florida and I have like my Florida stuff
Yeah.
that's hanging in my closet. So I just like, okay, that's what I'm wearing there.
Yeah.
Done. Like I'm not thinking about it because those are the things that I wear there all the time.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because it's like everyone there is dressed like that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely being strategic about uh, what to wear as
Yeah.
opposed to just deciding last minute that you're gonna just make this work. And yeah, I love that you did that. I love that you really tested it out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like I like to say, don't buy new clothes. Just go to new places where they haven't seen the old clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and they haven't seen it. That's the other thing. No one's seen your stuff when you're traveling except you.
Right. I
And
like to
so,
have different pictures though. I take a lot of
yeah,
pictures.
yeah,
Okay, I have a lot of pictures in this dress from this trip. I'm not gonna bring it. Like I'll bring it another
yeah,
time.
yeah,
But if it's winter, I was just in Venice. I was in my coat all the time. Who cares what was
yeah.
around there? As
Yeah,
long as
all
I'm
your pictures were
comfortable.
you in your coat, basically.
You know what? Another thing, like I'm going to share with our listeners and viewers. When I was planning my trip for Scotland a couple of years ago, I was going in May and I kept checking the weather. And Scotland is one of those destinations where like it can rain, it can snow, it can be hot, like all in one day. So I was really stressing out about what to wear. So, and I had about like 8 months before the trip. I was planning it way in advance. Throughout the
Mhm.
fall and the winter, every time I would go outside and at home, to drop off my kids, to run an errand, and I'm like wearing sneakers, like pants, some kind of a jacket. I would take a note. I'm like, okay, today is October 27th. It is, I don't know, 48 degrees. I'm making this up. I'm wearing this sweater, these pants, this undershirt, these shoes. I am comfortable. Like, or today is 38 and I'm wearing all of this, or I'm too cold. So this way, when I was looking at the weather forecast about a week before my trip, and it said like all in the 40s, I'm like, okay, let me look and see like what I was comfortable in the 40s. And that really helped me because in the summer, we know it's hot. You wear a t-shirt, you wear sundress.
Yeah, yeah,
When it's like between seasons or where it's rainy and cold, and even then, Scottish cold is nothing compared to our cold. I was still cold. Like it was like 40
yeah,
degrees here. I'm comfortable. There I was cold. So I'm like, now mental note, like I'm gonna, double the layers. But for most
yeah,
other destinations, if you're not sure, like what do I wear in the 40 degrees and the 50 degrees? Because that's like the funky weather. Like we know when it's really cold and when it's really hot. But in between,
yeah,
having this little journal, maybe it's
yeah.
type A obsessed person like we can only do. Maybe for like normal people it doesn't work, but it really helped me figure out what to take with me on that trip.
That's really smart. I mean, I'm always looking at the weather. The weather is the first thing I look at when I plan my outfits because you want to be ready, and layering is really important when you're traveling, especially
Yeah,
on planes. I have these like two sweaters that are really all my travel sweaters. They're like
yeah,
kind of a beachy thickness, so they're
yeah,
not super thick. They're a little airy, but I pack them all the time. I'm always packing a hoodie of
yeah,
some sort because you pretty much always use a hoodie somewhere along the
yeah,
way. And so once you even identify like some of your travel tried and true things, then you know that you're going to keep bringing them back. But the weather is such a huge component of your experience. And yeah, like having that ability just to journal it and think, okay, yeah, I want to look at this. I want to look at it really strategically. That's really what you did. You just applied some strategy to the
yeah.
process. And it didn't take you a lot of time. I think that's another thing that people think like they're like, "Oh, it's going to be so much work and so overwhelming." And no, and it doesn't take you a lot of time. If you just started with going in your closet and seeing what you had, and then maybe you get one or two things, right?
Abs-
And but taking that stock or inventory first is like the first thing you do.
Absolutely. Well, Nipa, thank you so much for your time today. This has been very nice and inspirational and practical. I hope ladies that are listening and watching will take some good nuggets from this. If they need more help or if they want
Yes.
some of your suggestions, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me online at accessiblestyle.net. And I'm also on LinkedIn and Instagram. And yeah, that's the best way to find me. You reach
Perfect.
out to me, and we're going to be doing some great things. I have a fashion membership group. So this year we're going to be doing a workshop that's coming up. We're planning it now is for how to dress for your shape,
Hmm.
because that's something that people really need help with. It is once you know your shape, you can make such smarter strategic shopping decisions. So that's something that will be posting out soon to everybody in our newsletter and to our socials.
That's exciting. Definitely send me the information once you have it
Yeah.
ready. We'll drop it in the in the notes section of the podcast. I'm sure some of our listeners will be very interested in that. I'm excited. I want to give it a try. I need to
Yeah.
shape.
Yeah.
Kind of know,
Yeah.
but I need a
Well,
confirmation.
yeah, the idea came from because there's so much incorrect information online of figuring out your shape, and there's like math formulas and stuff. And I'm like, it's not that complicated. But understanding, because understanding your shape is the best way to lose weight. You don't even have to, you're dressing more to what your natural shape is. And so
Yeah,
then you automatically look slimmer.
amazing.
So yeah, I'll definitely keep you guys posted.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again. This has been great, and we'll guys stay tuned for more.
Okay, thank you.